Okay, welcome to our workshop. So the reason why we talk about spirituality, number one, because it's one of my favorite topics. Because I believe that we live right now in a world that it's in a spiritual starvation mode. You know, because we are improving everything material possible, but we're getting more and more hungry spiritually. And most people never been trained, exposed, or coached, or mentored how to actually feed their soul. Because I know that everybody, most people have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? So for this reason, your mind and your spirit requires the same feeding. Meaning that, you know, if you feed your body, you need to feed your mind as well. And you need to feed your spirit. And what's happening in our life, most of the time, we wake up, we jump from the bed, we run to make a breakfast, coffee, whatever, maybe checking some crazy emails that is following on your account, bombarded by this garbage information in 90% of the cases. And we get overwhelmed, and then we wonder why we are not so happy in life. Where is this God? Where is this salvation? Where is this happiness coming from? Is it like a myth hanging somewhere in the scripture, or it is really present? And I can tell it is really present. We're just missing the train. Alright? So how to get on this spiritual train? It's actually require a couple of things. Number one, discipline. And number two, desire. Desire to be spiritually fed. So meaning, you have to be a little bit hungry. You know what I mean? If you're not looking for this, then you cannot make it have to do that type of thing, because it's never gonna happen by have to do it, okay? So I know that I'm preaching to the right crowd because, number one, where is our spirit and mind beliefs? Tell me. In the brain, right? The central nervous system. So the brain and the spinal cord, that's actually holding three biggest entity and responsible for all of them. Meaning your body control, because without the brain, what's happening to your body? Dead. Without the brain, where is your mind is going to be? Like, you're not going to have any memory, you're not going to have any knowledge or any recollection of any type of, you know, systematized methods or life experience or anything, anyway. And fortunately, unfortunately, the spirit lives there in the central nervous system as well. That's why, in all spiritual books, please, if everyone that be with me, guest speaker, please stay with me. We're going to do an awesome seminar. Okay, so basically, in the Bible, in Quran, in Torah, and in Sanskrit, it says exactly the same thing. I don't know who rewrote from who, or maybe it's the truth. Well, I believe it's the truth. But God took a whole bunch of dust, and it says specifically, He breathed the life into nostrils. And our nostrils, believe it or not, it's an anatomical fact. We have olfactory nerve that goes straight from your nose straight to the brain, bypassing everything. Meaning, for you to understand how it works anatomically, spiritually, and mindful, if you smell something, like, for example, your mom is cooking, right? So you're walking in the house, and you remember that the mom used to make this amazing apple pie. And you remember that. Yes, apple pie, honey. You remember this smell, right? And then next time when you feel this smell again, that's the first association that you're gonna get. Like apple pie, mom, mother's home, and love and the warmth, whatever is associated with those places. So that's why it goes straight to the brain, and I believe that this is one of the very, very important things. Also, why is it in the brain? Because I also believe that God was really, really smart, and it make it in this world very, very protective, right? Because skull is one of the hardest thing to break, actually. Well, you have to be really, really working hard to break it, because this wall is very, very strong.
Unless you fall off a motorcycle.
Oh yeah, well, if you work really hard, you can also nail it with some automatic, nail gun.
Yeah,
And then
I saw that one.
you saw that one. This is actually a very common injury happens in the construction. Yeah, and then the lift. Yeah, even then the lift. So, okay, so we're gonna talk about how to maintain this. So,
Is that you in the right hand corner?
yeah, I wish. I don't have an office table, if you notice.
I figured if that's
Because-
you in the office table, this guy's doing real good.
Yeah, because the most of the office space is divided and designated to serve you,
How many
not me.
members are on the board?
Okay, so
He wants to get through this.
the central nervous system is the host of the three important things in your life that has basically made you as a human being, as a person, which is the mind, spirit, and the body. So we have stressors around our life. Some stressors are good, and some stressors are not so good. We need some level of stress to create a positive adaptation. Meaning, if you didn't have stress, if you was like chilling through the life all the time, most likely you wouldn't succeed anything. So we need just a little bit of tiny stress for our life, including physical, emotional, and spiritual, that we will have a little bit of something to strive for. Otherwise, we would be fat, lazy, and everything.
Boring.
Yeah, boring, exactly. And wouldn't want to do anything, right? So the life would be basically a total disaster and deactivation. So those stressors, if they go beyond the normal level, they become unhealthy. It's the same way if you overeat, right? You may eat the healthiest food possible and overeat, and it becomes not good for you, not healthy, right? So same as with the mind. If you become too smart, it may actually deserves you. And one of my savings, which I learned from personal experience, intelligence is the crime against humanity. So you cannot be too intelligent either, then it becomes too stressful. You know what I mean? You know too much, and then you're just trying to figure out things. Okay. And the other thing, what we talk about spirituality, right? And I said, we're going through the school, so we learn how to learn. We are going through, seminars and different, advertisement and commercials. Most of the time, they're not teaching how to eat properly, but it's still some kind of food information. But in terms of spirituality, we have lots of stuff available, but not actually teaching and coaching how actually to do it. It's like exercises. You have to know how to do it properly in order to success and stay well spiritually fed. Okay? So right now in our world, we're experiencing lots of physical, emotional, chemical stressors that causes the subluxation, which is basically applies the interference in the central nervous system, therefore suppresses the nervous system function that has a control over our life. So the bones surrounding, they basically serves not only protection mechanism, but also attachment points for the brain to stay in a place. Otherwise, if we didn't have those attachment points, then the brain would fly all over the place and it fall down somewhere in the pants level, and then you would need to constantly pump it up. So, proper alignment guarantees that you would have a normal understanding of environment, meaning physical environment, chemical environment, and spiritual environment. So therefore, one of the things that I'm teaching you, because you're well-adjusted people, trust me, and therefore you have bigger and higher potential being more spiritually connected. Because if the flow goes easily to the nervous system, then most likely you will be able to perceive and follow through those steps and information, and therefore being spiritually fed. So get adjusted first. So that's what's happening in our system, body, mind, and spirit connected in the central nervous system. In the central nervous system, we have 3 or 4. I need to have that hand, sorry. 3 or 4, well, I can tell we have 5 nervous systems inside of us. 5. Number 1 is the limbic nervous system. Limbic nervous system is perceives your emotions. So whatever information, whatever opinion you have about people, that's processing in the limbic system. Meaning, for example, if you have negative or positive experience through the emotion, that's where the limbic nervous system processing. It's located right here, right there, right in the core of the brain. The second nervous system, well, it's the central nervous system, and we have peripheral nervous system. The other branches of the nerves, we have outgoing and incoming nerves. So outgoing nerves, they basically control all the organs and functions and everything. And incoming nerves, they bring the information in. So, for example, your eyesight, your tactile sensation, and basically all other sensations that you may hear, feel, touch, temperature, proprioception, and its ability to perceive where your body is in space. Those are special receptors in your joints and the ligaments that send information in. And we have autonomic nervous system. So that's what we're going to focus on today. Autonomic nervous system. An autonomic nervous system divided on 2, parasympathetic and the sympathetic. Parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for rest, relaxation, and digestion, and processing the calm and peace and all nice and good information. Sympathetic nervous system, it's funny that it starts from S. It's easy to remember. It's stress-related system. So when you are in stress, when you're in rush, when you are experiencing some kind of fight and flight response, meaning you are like anxious or angry, that's the sympathetic nervous system kicks in and takes control over your organs. So the reason why I started talking about limbic system, because the limbic system, that's where emotions are, and then emotions can trigger activation one of the another system. You cannot be in both. It's one or the other. You can't be stressed out and relaxed at the same time, right? So it's either sympathetic state or parasympathetic state. So here's the thing. Now I want you to understand the reason why I give you such a long preamble to understand how the nervous system functions, because now you would understand how to work with this. So when we sleep, we are actually doing what? Relaxation, recuperating, recovery. So what system do we use when we sleep? Parasympathetic nervous system. So when we hear sound or when we hear alarm, what do you think happening? Exactly, sympathetic response. So you jump out and the life has started. That's why you wake up. So you turn off the parasympathetic nervous system. And it's actually stressful for us. Believe it or not, some heart attacks happening while they hear the alarm clock. And the dead. No, serious. Yeah, it's a serious thing. And the most actually heart attacks and cardiovascular events happening in the morning. Yeah, 4 to 6 a.m. This is the most amount of death associated with the cardiovascular system.
Where does REM work in on that?
Yeah, REM.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about sleep today, but REM is the state. It's called the rapid eye motion. This is the stage of sleep when you have zero control over yourself.
You're almost in a trance.
Yeah, it's a trend. But this is the 4th stage of sleep. We're not going to talk about this today, but that's another topic. Okay, so central nervous system holds all those 3 entities. What I'd like you to start from, and this is probably the hardest journey in our life, is to learn ourselves. Because it's easy to learn about somebody else. It's easy to read the book and somebody gives you the explanation. You can have an opinion, a judgment about somebody else. it's very easy to learn something else, but it's really, really hard to learn yourself. So I would suggest you to start learning about yourself, because from my personal experience I can tell you, leading myself is the hardest journey I am into. It's very easy to lead people, it's very easy to lead family, it's very easy to lead, you know, anything in life, but it's very, very hard to lead yourself. It's my personal experience. I don't know about you, but that's true about me. So, learning about yourself requires a couple of things, and they're not coming so easy. It requires time, it requires effort, it requires information, and the most important, it requires coaching or mentoring. Why? Because I can tell you, the opinion that I have about me and opinion that you have about me, it may not be the same. Opinion that my family has about me and I have about me may not be the same. And opinion that my friends, my co-workers, my teammates have about me, not the same that I have about me. So, in order to make it integrous, meaning integrity, it's who you are, how you act, and what you say, and what your thoughts are, they have to correlate 100%. Well, they never do, trust me. They never do. There is always some discrepancy in this, always. No matter how perfect we think we may be, there is always some kind of discrepancy. And this discrepancy we try to minimize as minimum as possible. And that would be called integrity. What you do, what you think, what you say is always exactly the same.
Being consistent.
Being consistent. And consistency breeds very good results. So, and I can tell you, none of us is 100% consistent. Relax, okay? We are all in the same boat. So we are all the same. I told to my team today a lesson. I was in the conference call today with multiple doctors, and I can tell you, no matter who we are, where we are, and what we are, and what opinion we have about ourselves and somebody else, we all going through the same struggles. We all have fears. We all have some kind of internal, you know, battles going on. Should I do it? Should I not? Decisions to make. We all have some kind of worries to some degree, but we all do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be human beings. And we all trying to find solution for them. Am I right? So no matter who we are, we're all in the same boat. So it works for everybody the same. So which is awesome. Okay? Then the coolest part in learning yourself is actually gives you highest payback. It gives you the highest return in life. It gives you the highest results. Because if you look at the nature and how is it created, humans are obviously very, very different from animals, right? Have you ever seen horse pretended to be a squirrel and trying to climb the tree?
Would be fine, comfortable.
It would be a very funny scene, right?
Yeah.
It would be funny observation. What happens to humans, unfortunately, sometimes we pretend not to be who we are. Not because we want to be, just because we believe in some kind of lie or some kind of wrong belief system, and then it's all applies layer after layer, and sometimes we do things that, you know, we're like, oh wow, we're trying to be somebody else, you know, somebody trying to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they're not. Somebody trying to be, you know, coloring the eyes and then dyeing their hair like, I don't know, Britney Spears. And they're not Britney Spears. So the whole point to understand that we're all different and we're all designed to be who we are and get comfortable with this. Relax. That's why squirrel never trying to plow the field and the horse is never trying to climb the tree. And they're comfortable with who they are. So like a lizard is not trying to be a bird and fly. right? Lizard is lizard. Never trying to pretend anything else. So same as we are, we need to get comfortable in who we are, learn who we are, what our capacity, what can we do, what is our journey. And the best way to do it is actually get closer to Creator. Whoever created that, right? So whoever you believe in, I believe in God, somebody believe in nature, somebody believe in different creation. So get closer to the Creator. And then this way you'll understand what's your purpose in this planet. So it's a constant process of discovering and rediscovering. Why? Because we are changing all the time. So we're constantly on the journey of discovering ourselves and rediscovering because we are changing. Here we go. How do we expect enhance our spiritual connection? Number one, we need to change our attitude. Who felt, at least, not today, at least in the last 2 weeks, that they have to do something?
All the time.
Have to do something. I have to like go to work, or I have to, you know, I have to cook. Yeah, I have to like, you know,
don't you do that every day?
have to do. Yeah, exactly.
That's why I says I
Well,
have 2 weeks.
Well, number one, we need to change our attitude. Nothing in this world you actually have to do. It's only our perception. It's only something that is in place in your head that you have to do. What we need to change this, our vocabulary. And why I'm saying this, because what we say, our brain has one of the biggest areas is the language area. It's 2 areas. One is speech, one is language. Broca and Wernicke. And they have one of the highest impact on our central nervous system, the way we behave, and on our emotions. So the way we say it, it actually impacts our conscious and subconscious mind so hardly. And I'm saying it to you right now that you have to understand why prayer works. We're going to get to this. So you need to understand how nervous system works. So what you say is actually affecting your thoughts, it's affecting your emotions, and affecting your behavior. Alright? And some people arguing what's coming first, thoughts or what we say, eggs or the chicken, right? And really, I don't know the answer. Hopefully thoughts are coming first for many people. Definitely not for me sometimes, because sometimes I say something and I'm like, oops, I shouldn't say that.
I think a lot of us say things.
Have you had this
without
experience? I'm
thinking
not
about
alone. Well, thank you very much.
Fired
So
about
I'm
5
not.
times.
Oh, you 5 times a day. That's awesome. That's what I say always to my lovely wife. Oh,
As
she's
you say,
always.
you're thinking out loud then.
Yes, yeah, I'm
Sometimes.
thinking of that, exactly. So you need to start changing from have to, I love to do it, and I have a chance to do it, and I'm blessed to do it, and I'm happy to do it, and I love to do it, and I get to do it. Because trust me, I've heard people complaining about mortgages. Really? Yeah, I did. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And you know what? People in Haiti would like to have your mortgage and your house on this mortgage.
Yeah.
Trust me. Because most people are not so lucky in this world that most people complain about it.
Sorry.
Are you following me what I say? So most people want to have the problems that most people complain about. So for example, some people complain, well, we have a long line in the hospital, right? And most people would love to have a hospital in their neighborhood, regardless how long it is. Okay, and most people complain, well, I have such a bad car, somebody's driving Lamborghini and I'm driving this, you know, Honda Civic or whatever, and then, you know, I'm lucky to have Honda Civic because most people in this world still don't have this vehicle or any type of transportation per se, including the public transportation. Have you heard people complaining about public transportation? Well, next time remind them that, you know, how about you're gonna walk 40 kilometers? So changing attitude towards environment is very, very important. So whenever negative thoughts or negative conversation you hear, you don't have to buy into it. It's actually one of the laws in the universe. You can buy into stuff. Meaning you can buy into good stuff or you can buy into bad stuff. If you hear bad stuff and you start believing it, you automatically bought into it. You start supporting this negative chat, it's automatically going to get engraved and create the negative emotions, negative feeling. It's going to activate what system? Sympathetic nervous system. And what's going to happen to parasympathetic nervous system? It's going to be shut down. And where is your spirituality? It's parasympathetic nervous system. You're shutting down yourself. Why? Because you're buying into something that it's not necessarily true or what you believe in. So you have to filter what you hear and what you say. And thoughts. Well, many people asking me, well, Dr. Dmitry, you're so positive, you speak lots of positive stuff. Not necessarily I'm always positive, trust me. Sometimes I give hard time to people. I do. And not because I'm negative, because that is good for them. They may not perceive it this way, but that's okay, right? And that's okay. And that's alright, because we need to understand how does it work, really. How does it really work? So, being positive is actually intrainable feature. You can train yourself being positive. The more positive conversation, the more positive literature, the more positive people around you, the more positive you become. That's the coolest part. And this is another law that I really, really love. It's called law of the inner circle. Law of the inner circle is basically sounds like this. You become one of the people who you hang out with. It's really, really cool thing. So inner circle is actually going to help you to define and change who you are and where you're going. So let me explain to you a situation within chiropractic office. Most of you guys getting adjusted and you're trying to improve your lifestyle, improve your nutrition, improve your physical, emotional, spiritual state. Therefore, you are going ahead and beyond most people in this world. Because most people just hanging out, complaining and doing what they do and not trying to change anything. That's the scientific fact. That's not my observation. Don't judge me, and I don't judge them. It's their choice. Or their unluck, let's put it this way. So since you're lucky and happier people and trying to improve yourself, you have to surround yourself with the same positive people. So when Anna exchanged the phone numbers with another chiropractic patient, I celebrate this. Why? Because the more you hang out together, the more you learn together, the higher you're gonna get. And everybody else in this world, they like anchors. Well, let me tell you the story about crabs. Have you been in Chinese supermarket? Have you seen the bucket with crabs? If you look at the crabs, in an independent environment where the crab is alone, how is he moving? Fast or slow? Fast! Whoa, you can't even catch this guy. He's like all over the place. Here's the question to you. Why these fast crabs cannot get out of the bucket in the store? And they're just hanging out and they cannot move. Have you ever thought of this?
Because they're all thrown in together. There's probably no room to...
Good thinking, but I can tell you, crabs behave like human beings. They hold each other. That's why they cannot get out. So if one crab is trying to get out, the other is going to hold for it. And somebody else is going to hold for it. And that's why they stuck together. And you're thinking, how is those fast creatures in the natural environment move really, really fast, and then it's hard to catch, and they're really defended. And here they're lying down like a whole bunch of stones, and you can pick it up and put them in and do whatever they want. So they hold each other. So if any crab is trying to get out of this basket, other crabs is holding it. So human behaves the same way. If you're trying to get out and become something better, more positive, there is going to be people behaving like crabs. They're going to criticize you. They're gonna argue with you. They're gonna disagree with you. They're gonna say, well, chiropractic doesn't work. I don't believe in chiropractic. Have you heard talks like this? I don't believe in this crap. I don't believe in this and this and this and this, and this is going on and on and on. And it's like so fun to hear because I don't buy into these things. You know what I mean? When I hear that, I just don't buy into it. I'm like, well, it may be not working for you, but it works for me. Айва, goodbye, до свидания, bye-bye, ciao, adios. So, how does it work in the law of the inner circle? And I can tell you, I wasn't a chiropractor all my life, okay? And in the some period of my life, I just developed the inner circle that not necessarily those people who really trying to change. So, and improve and become better and train and so on and so forth, and, you know, pray and meditate. So, to this group of people, I should have said at one point, guys, you either start changing or I need to start changing friends. I'm not saying that, you know, you have to get rid of your friends. Don't get me wrong. So, either people change or you change people who you hang out with. Otherwise, you hang out among crabs who is hanging you down. And it's very, very hard to get out. So that's why you need to work on that too. Who you're surrounding yourself with. Surrounding with people who have the same spiritual belief, who have same physical goals, who have the same mental, emotional, other goals, who loves and has the same values and beliefs. And I know emotionally it's very, very hard because I hang out with one guy for 5 or 6 years, and then for me to say, you know, I'm just not going to hang out with you anymore. It was hard because I had some kind of life experience with this person, but I had to do it because on the multiple attempts, I said, well, let's go to gym together. Oh, I don't need to exercise. Well, let's go to church together. Well, I don't believe in God. And I said, well, maybe you get adjusted. And he said, well, chiropractic really is like whatever. And I said, really? So thank you very much then. It was nice to meet you, nice to be around you. But some people come in for a reason and some people come in for a season. All right? So how do we do that? So now we're going to talk about balance of PNS. What the PNS stands for? Parasympathetic nervous system, and SNS, sympathetic nervous system. So in the morning, it's very easy to get up when you hear the alarm and you need to run somewhere and do something because it's a sympathetic response. And unfortunately, that's the start of the emotional starvation and spiritual starvation for the day. So what you need to do, or what science and research suggested, and practice too, suggested to do, that if you wake up just 15 to 20 minutes before the time that you need to get up, or that you have to get up, type of thing, and spend, and this is the hardest part. Why? Because you need to wake up and go from parasympathetic state into parasympathetic state consciously. Because sympathetic state, it's a subconscious. You hear the alarm, you have to go and rush, you're late, da 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 da. It's easier. But it's hard to get up 15 minutes before you need to get up. So that's where the discipline is required. That's when the purpose is required. That's when the vision is required why you're doing this. And when you're driven by vision, purpose, and spirit, then you're going to wake up earlier. And then you're going to stay in the parasympathetic state and spend some time feeding your spirit. So in many, many instances, it's different things. So some people like to pray.
Charlie's rumbling here.
Awesome. So it's a parasympathetic nervous system, right? So it's a digestion, right? So he's very relaxed. Or really hungry.
I think he's hungry.
One or the other.
She's always for that.
Yeah. So in a parasympathetic state, that's when you can actually read like spiritual literature, read whatever, anything that feeds in your soul. It's prayer. So you can pray, you can focus on what your day will look like. You can actually change what is going to be happening during this day. Why? Because, for example, I have meeting in the bank, right? And I know it can go both ways. I know, for example, right? I can get the loan or I cannot get the loan. So in this 15 or 20 minutes, well, I usually wake up 1 hour to 2 hours before. So I give myself a spiritual feast in the morning. You know what I mean? So in this day, I'm thinking, oh, I have to go to bank. Oh man, I'm getting this loan. You know what I mean? I'm creating a vision that I'm gonna get this loan. And I'm going to this bank, into this meeting, like I already got the loan, I just going there to sign the papers. You know what I mean? Versus going to this meeting, like, oh my goodness, am I going to get this loan? Am I not
Because you're
going
so
to get
tense
it?
already.
Exactly, because I already, well, prayed, meditated, and did everything possible to set up myself to the positive outcome. And when you go into the meeting with the positive outcome, most likely it's going to be positive. Because if you come into the bank grumpy and start telling them how horrible life it is, guess what?
They'll show you the door.
Bank is not really want to invest in the negative life either. Even though they don't understand it themselves. They just look at you like, oh man, you're kind of trouble. You know what I mean? So, but if you go in there prepared, spiritually fed, then the results will be most likely positive. And this is going not only through the day, through the entire life. So the idea is here is to feed yourself spiritually. And it's amazing how it works. It works in the morning the best. Why? Because in the morning you actually can receive, well, I'm going to go a little bit deeper if you allow me to do. In the morning you actually receive love. And this love from your Creator allows you to have a self-esteem higher, allows you to see it better, allows you to trust that it's already been done, allows you to believe that whatever is going to happen, it's good, despite of our understanding. I mean, like, whether you get this loan or don't get the loan, it's irrelevant. What's relevant that you're going into to get this loan. But if you don't get this loan, don't get upset either, because that's maybe the whole purpose not to get the loan. Not for you, but in a bigger scale of things. Right? Okay. So, to set yourself up in a good mood, the best way actually to stay in the parasympathetic state is to wake up, have 5 to 10 minutes of, you know, morning shower, toilet, and whatever, splash yourself and then turn on air conditioning. And go and exercise. Because exercises are also, when you do it voluntarily, it stimulates parasympathetic response. That's why when you exercise, guys, you feel more relaxed after exercise, right? Less stress, you're feeling more at ease, more joy. Well, there is a reason for this, because exercises that are promoted voluntarily stimulate parasympathetic nervous system. So, and then when you exercise, you awake enough actually to get in touch with something that you read, because I can tell you, in my life experience, it was like this in the beginning. I woke up at 4 o'clock, dragging myself out, opening the Bible, and falling asleep. Don't even understand what I read. So, in order for me not to happen this way, because I'm not reading the Bible because I have to, because I love to, I changed a little bit. So in the morning I get up, I do some waking up exercises, you know, maybe go for a run, for a walk, do some stretches or yoga, do some kind of active, purposefully active exercises. And then when I'm awake, then I open in positive literature. Whatever it is, it may be a book, just a positive book. Don't read bad books, okay, guys? Don't. It's like bad friends, okay? You have to get rid of them. Like those scary books are negative, you know, when people are going through struggles. It's good for them, but not good for us to read. You know what I mean? So, read something positive, don't read newspapers, no news. They're not...
Never any good news.
Exactly, they're very rarely a good news, you know? And then You feed yourself and prepare yourself for the day. Now let's talk about daytime. So morning is clear, right? Daytime. Who is saying grace before they consume meat, more meal or food? More or less. Some people yes, some people do. Well, whether you believe in God or not, the coolest part about prayer, because when you actually say it, you stimulate your parasympathetic response, because you will never gonna pray for the food negatively. You're gonna say something good about this food, right? You're gonna say, thank you God for this food. Somebody say, well, let this food go to my healing, recovery, and love. And thank you for having this food, period, on the table, and so on and so forth. And thank you for having family.
Actually, you know what? I think of that more when I'm preparing the food.
That's even better. Why? Because it's good for, it's working for you, and it's working for preparation
It's more
for the food.
therapeutic
Yes.
for me when I do that.
Yeah.
So
But then the coolest part also doing it together as a family. So when you're sitting together, it's not like one person jumps and start munching and another jumps and start munching. When you're actually together saying a prayer, it's actually amplifies it. And it puts your mind into a parasympathetic state. Therefore, it allows this food better to be digested, better to be absorbed, better to be, transferred and put it in a good thing. And if you consume not even healthy food, it's still better to pray before this, because it's going to be detoxified better. So that's the coolest part.
James, are you a believer now?
Well, James is a believer, big time. Yeah. So, but the point of this, some people asking me, or should I eat this food or should I not eat this food? I said, well, number one, don't ever get stressed out about food. Whether you should eat it or should not eat it, if you have it on the table and you can't either afford anything else, or if you just have it, bless it and enjoy it. Whether it's good or bad for you, never put a guilt over the food. Even if you eat the worst horrible food you understand, I mean, like, I don't know, crackers and drink like a pop and eat a chocolate cake, bless it anyway and enjoy it. Because then it's going to be easier detoxified and flushed away, and you're still going to consume some nutrients from it, rather than eating the most healthiest food in the world and being stressed out that it's not healthy enough. You know what I mean? Bless it and enjoy it. But try to make choices that are healthier for you anyway. Don't start and avoiding healthy food and eat junk all the time and say, oh, I've blessed it, so it must be good. Alright? Well, in the evening, it's very, very important to have a calm time before you go to bed. Okay? And this calm time is about an hour. So if you watch TV and then you finish movie and you're trying to go to bed, it's never going to be a good sleep, trust me. Because you're going to have dreams, you're going to have some association. Your memory will try to process all this information because it's recorded in your brain consciously or subconsciously. And you spend half of the night processing what happened right before the bed. So 1 hour of this calm time is also very, very important. So routine is very important. That's why we actually try to teach our kids routine, because if you get in habit of this, it becomes easier. Because nothing good in this life comes easy. Only bad stuff comes easy. Trust me. Anything good, you have to work for it. Meaning, if you want to get stronger, it's hard to exercise. You need to be disciplined, you have to go to gym, pay for membership, spend some time, do some traveling. If you want to get adjusted, it's never easy. I know!
Actually, I do 2-wheel transit.
And you know what? This is awesome. Why? Because you have wheel transit. And you have a chiropractor who actually can adjust you. Because if we go to trip in Africa, those kids are walking 60 kilometers to to get this one adjustment. And they would love to have two-wheel transit on the way. So when I speak about discipline and getting good stuff through the hardship, that's actually the best thing. Because the harder something we get, the more positive impact we have and results and the payback. Because easy stuff will never impact us in a positive way. Trust me, never will. You will never even remember easy stuff in your life. Like if you think about the childhood, what do you remember about the childhood? Most of it that you have to struggle for and then achieved, and you're proud of it and actually have a positive attitude and positive memory about that. Versus if you think what easy plain stuff you had there, you don't even remember what was it most of the time. Maybe 1 or 2 episodes, but not everything. But those things that you have to struggle for, you remember, and it creates positive attitude and positive memory. Because it was given to the struggle.
Makes you stronger.
Make you stronger, exactly. So, thinking positively is also entrained. Meaning, you have to monitor your thoughts. And that's a spiritual connection. Because if I started thinking, oh man, running is so hard, and I have to wake up in the morning, and it's gonna get harder. If I'm gonna say, oh man, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna get exercise, I'm gonna get stronger, I have a Bible to read, I live in a country where I can open the Bible and I go pray and actually say something about God today, and I don't get chastised, it's awesome. So, and that's easier for me to wake up in the morning. That's why before you go to bed, if you say in prayer, you actually stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. And what's happening when you sleep? It's a parasympathetic state. So you actually proactively stimulate falling asleep faster and start this period of rest and digest and relaxation, recuperation faster, because you pray, you say something good, thinking good, praying for something good, and therefore you fall asleep faster. So your recovery is getting faster, and you have longer period of recovery, which is absolutely fantastic. Some people asking me, Dr. Dmitry, how do you sleep from 10 to 4, it's 6 hours? By normal knowledge, it's not enough. By normal knowledge, it's like 6 hours and we're supposed to sleep 8. So you always kind of, or 10, right? Not sleep, under constant lack of sleep. I said, no, I'm constantly sleep well. Why? Because if I sleep 10 to 12, it actually counts 1 for 2 hours. So 2 hours before 12 is what? Actual 4 hours of sleep. And then plus 4 hours after 12, it's another 4 hours. So 4 plus 4, 8. So I said to people, when you do in earthly math, it doesn't work. In my world, in my work, I sleep 8 hours. 8 hours, exactly, because I prayed before bed, I go to bed on time, so I develop a routine to fall asleep at 10 o'clock. And I fall asleep at 10 o'clock, and then I have a full night's sleep, and I develop a routine, wake up early, and develop a routine doing this. It wasn't easy in the beginning, so don't jump doing everything that I'm telling you what I'm doing. Just try to do it close and close and close, baby steps. So 15 minutes wake up a little bit early, 15 minutes earlier, and go to bed 15 minutes earlier. You started shifting in the right direction, and then when you get to the right direction, stick to it. And occasionally allow yourself a sleep in. But then you will discover that the days are different, and then you would want to and would love to wake up early. Trust me. Because when I sleep in and I go into the day not prayed up, not get ready, I'm actually get really scared in this day. Because suddenly I understand, oh my God, now I don't know what's going to happen. I didn't even pray for what's going to happen. So now I'm just feeling like, okay, the wave is coming, and I don't know how to deal with this wave.
Are you getting sympathetic?
Exactly, this is anxious. That's how people get anxiety attacks, right? Because they're in spiritual starvation and the sympathetic firing all the time from the morning till the afternoon. Because if you think of normal people lifestyle, they get up, wake up, alarm sounds, they run, drink coffee, get acidic, check some horrible news in the morning about the traffic, kick their kids out of bed. Hey, you have to go, we're late, late, late. Put all them together, get them in the car, traffic again, and then they're stressed out. Okay, man, I have to go to work and my boss sucks. Really?
Blame it on the boss.
Blame it on the boss, blame it on the coworkers, blame it on the society, blame it on the traffic. And it's all because you didn't wake up properly. You didn't give yourself enough time to actually wake up, get yourself prepared, enjoy this morning, and going to the waking up kids, maybe 5 minutes earlier, the day experience, you give them a hug, you say, I love you, we're going to get up, it's going to be a beautiful day, bless them before they even know about that, and trust me, they will wake up much easier when the alarm will sound, because you already give them something positive to eat, spiritually and mentally. And then the alarm sounds, they just know that it's time to get up, but they're already ready. So they're not going to get a heart attack when the alarm sounds. By the way, I almost experienced this in life.
What, a heart attack?
Almost from the alarm. Because it was in my early stages of spiritual growth and development, and I switched it not on the radio but on this crazy beep 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 sound accidentally. And if my wife heard this sound, she would never fall asleep until her normal wake up, and she woke up at this time about 6:40, and if it was sound at 4 o'clock, so she would be really mad on me. And if wife is mad on the man, guess what? Yeah, sympathetic flight. You no longer, you're like praying, oh God, I won't be killed tonight, man, when I come home. So, exactly. Alright, so now I wake up almost without an alarm. And my time is 4:10. I mean, like, it's funny how I was born at 4:10, and now I wake up at 4:10 every morning. So it's funny how it works. So, now we talk about thinking, prayer, and speaking. So the way we think and believe, actually what we believe in, it's making us to think and speak. If you don't believe that what I just said, then nothing is going to change. Seriously. You're just going to go fall back on your old habits and going to stay who you are. If you believe a little bit more, so it's law of buy-in, you're actually stepping into it and maybe start doing something. And when you start doing something about it, you start seeing the fruits of this, and when you start seeing the fruits of this, you start believing more. You're like, oh man, he actually spoke the truth. Maybe I should start doing it more and more. And don't worry, I'm the same way. We're all the same way. Because to do something that I was told to do, not knowing whether it's truth or not, it requires some courage to step into and start doing. But when you see the fruits, then the trust grows and you start, okay, maybe you have to tell me more about stuff, right? And then maybe I have to start doing more somebody told me, therefore you see bigger fruit of life. So what you believe and what you think determines the way you feel. The way emotions that you produce and respond on the emotions. For example, it's an awesome parable when, you know, a man at night complaining to God, saying, God, you know what? I slept in today. I woke up, my car didn't start, and I have to like struggle for 15 minutes. Then I was going to work, and I stuck at work because customer called me, and I couldn't hang up because we have a policy that I have to finish my talk. So I came home late, and when I came home late, my wife told me that I have to do something that I don't really want to do. And how is this happy life? Well, God decided to respond to this person, and he said, Well, you were sleeping in, right? My angel's actually fighting for your life because that was staying close to your bed. And when car did not start, you just you would have missed traffic light and you would have been hit by a car and you would be dead. So be thankful. And when you actually was called by this customer, it was recorded on the answering machine and your boss reviewed, and you actually gonna get a raise next year at your salary because you're gonna get positive response. And when your wife told you to do something, then you're not gonna get a rat in the house that is gonna pesticize all your house, and you would have to spend lots of time, lots of effort, lots of money to fix that. So it's always the way we perceive things what happen to us. Whether we think it's good or we think it's bad, it's only a judgment upon the event. So whatever happened, we perceive as a good thing, and therefore we won't be struggling so much with this, whatever judgment we have about this event. So the way we feel will determine the way we act. And this is very obvious. Who wanted to say something bad when they were angry? We're all the same, guys, all the time.
Everybody else lied.
Yeah, everybody else liked, exactly. Who didn't raise the hand, they liked. So the way we act determine our outcomes, results what we get. Because how many times you said something and you regret what you said just because you were under emotion? Guilty. And then the outcome actually determine the way you live. So are you live life fully alive or you're struggling? And trust me, it's only our perception. It's only our perception. If you do the right things, it's going to determine what you feel, it's going to determine how you act, and the outcomes of your action will bring the results of your life, and you actually start perceiving this life. And trust me, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be joyful. And that's the whole point of life. And at the end of the day, you look at the mirror and you say, man, I achieved so much that I could never think of achieving so much in my lifetime. Because what's happening with humanity right now, we overestimate how much we can do in a short period of time and underestimate how much we can do in a lifetime. So when we overestimate how much we do in a short period of time, because we have a timeline and we're getting frustrated and we're getting upset and we're getting negative and anxious because we did not achieve something. And when we get negative, frustrated and all other things in a short period of time, guess what? We transfer it for the next short period of time and then to the next short period of time, and therefore we'll never actually achieve what we need to achieve. So if you have a dream big. Dream as big as you can afford to dream, because it may end up being better. And when it's going to happen, you're going to be amazed how little did you dream. From my personal experience, we were walking on Miami Beach with my wife no longer than last week, and she was telling me, can you imagine? 15 years ago, if somebody would tell you or me that we would be living in Canada, you would be a doctor, I would be a professional in another level, and we would be walking on Miami Beach, we would have a son who is healthy, and we would believe in God, we would enjoy our relationships, and we would be not stressed out about anything, being happy, healthy, and being able to exercise and do things that 10 years or 20 years ago we couldn't even think of doing this. Would you believe in this? I would say no. 15 years ago I would say no. That's why I'm telling you, most of the time we underestimate how much we can do in a long period of time. So start dreaming big, and it's going to get better, because the outcomes will be determined the way you act. or you might choose being already dead. That's most people do.
And if you would stay there?
And you would stay there, you would physically die, because spirit would be suppressed and you're gonna go under the body authority. And trust me, our body is lazy. Who can say that our body is not lazy?
Oh.
Yeah, it's always want to eat some tasty stuff, but it's most of the time is junk. Yeah, pastry, all other stuff. Yes, but I can tell you one thing. Within 15 to 20 years, miracle can happen. You can actually become joyful and enjoying a healthy lifestyle, enjoying exercises, enjoying wake up early, but it requires repetition and intensity. We talked about this in the previous spiritual workshops, right? So either you do a multiple repetition with the low intensity, or you do very high intensity that it creates very high emotional response, very high emotional state, then you actually start enjoying it right away, and then it goes forward. So one way or the other, it requires two things, either repetition or intensity. And longer than that, unfortunately, but to get better, yeah, to get the habit, it gets easier every 21 days. Let's put it this way. Every 21 days it gets easier and easier and easier. It's very hard to develop a habit in a short period of time, but it's getting easier in 21 days because you're actually stepping up. Okay? So, couple of things we need to review. So today we talk about adjustment. So staying adjustment is very important. Physical fitness, nutritional fitness, proper mental spiritual attitude. So gratitude and being thankful for all our trouble. Staying in love, and the most important thing, have goals, mission, passion, and live a passion-oriented life. And that's gonna continue creating a positive loop. And then if you're gonna spin in this positive loop, then you wouldn't want to invite anybody in this loop who is having some negative impact, right? And most of the time, those people who had a negative impact on you, you just need to change yourself. They will start asking you questions. So, what happened to you? And you're gonna tell them the truth. And they either buy into it or not buying into it. And if they buy into it, then let's go. If they're not buying into it, then goodbye. And the life goes on and on and on. So, it's the last slide that I put for you, and it's very easy to understand. So, alpha waves in the morning will cultivate love to ourselves. We feel love, and that's how we act, out of love. And then we go into the day, and at the end of the day we cultivate faith. Why? Because we see the fruits of your love, whether you feel love or production, and you build faith. And then this building faith actually is going to end up in the morning, whether you're going to be doing this again and again and again. And that's the positive cycle. And this is from Revelation, so it's from the Bible. Jesus is saying, I am the Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. That's why I'd like to start in the morning, beginning and the end, with something spiritual. It stimulates my parasympathetic nervous system anyway. Whether I believe in God or not, whether you believe in Christ or not, whether you believe in salvation or not, it's still good for you. Scientifically. So it's all good if you do it this way. We are done. Thank you very much. I hope you learned something.